It's now time for Remember When with Uncle John. John Guess, Ouachita County's resident storyteller and local historian. Sit back now and enjoy a walk down memory lane as John recalls the days of yesteryear in his own unique way. You never know, some of it might even be true. So here's Uncle John, along with his trusty sidekick, Kelly Blair.
Back on Remember When with Uncle John. Well, we have made it to Hump Day, and of course around here, these parts, it's Wassailing Wednesday. It's been Wassailing Week here on the Remember When with Uncle John show because we got Mark Givens in talking about his involvement with the new Von Erich movie coming out. John, I know you grew up watching the Von Erichs. You grew up watching big-time wrestling out of Texas, eventually became world-class wrestling with Fritz Von Erich and everything. And this is, these guys were one of our favorites. You said you made more than a couple of trips down to the Sportatorium in Dallas.
Yes, I talked to Mark earlier about it, and he's going to explain it here in a minute. That it's a sad situation that they don't have the Sportatorium there anymore, but now he'll explain how they did this for the movie. But the Sportatorium was a unique building. It was at the corner of Industrial and Katie's downtown Dallas, rough part of town. It'd been there since I believe the 40s or the 50s, you know. It used to be the Big D Jamboree. Big tin building, you know, cold in the winter, hot in the summer. I never went in the wintertime, but it smelled like stale beer and cigarette smoke. And I went, the 3 times I went with the intent to see Bruiser Brody.
There you go.
Bruiser Brody was a big-time name. When he might have been a heel everywhere else, but he was a babyface in Texas. And when he come down that aisle carrying that army stretcher, you know, you could not hear yourself think.
Yep.
But I'll turn it over to Mark now and let him talk about the movie. But the Sportatorium was a unique building, and it was a rat's nest then, and that was 40 years ago.
Yeah, there you go.
But it was a unique building, to say the least.
Well, and Mark, you were telling me that when you showed up to I guess first let's back up half a step. How did you get involved in this movie?
Well, a friend of mine, I had worked with, I knew the Von Erichs. I had worked with Kevin, who's the last remaining Von Erich of the immediate family. Right. His sons, Marshall and Ross, and I'd worked with Kevin years ago before he moved to Oahu. And so I was just really interested in when I saw that they were filming it in Baton Rouge. So I called a friend of mine who's a lobbyist for the governor down there in Baton Rouge, and also is involved with the film commission. And next thing you know, I'm sending an email with all this information, and next thing I get contacted by this agency that said, "Would you be interested in doing a scene?" And I just, like I'd always been taught, just act like you know what you're doing. And I was like, "Sure, I'd love to."
Yeah, well, sure.
And they're like, "Well, we've got 3 or 4." One of them, though, was just you and Jeremy Allen White, who I wasn't familiar with at the time, but he won a Golden Globe last week for The Bear, and he was portraying Carrie. So now all of a sudden here I am in this movie, and so they had it scheduled for, I guess, mid-November, and then the day I was going to drive down there, they called and told me to stay, that they had canceled the shoot, and then they rescheduled, so I went early December, and I was there 3 days. I worked 2 days. The third day, everyone got food poisoning from catering. I didn't, but so they shut it down. But I did one scene with Jeremy Allen White. Now, I was there on a set. That one, they took us somewhere else, but the remainder of the time I was there, we were in this old furniture warehouse that they had converted to look like the old Sportatorium. And so I was in there for the better part of 2 days with Zac Efron as the lead. He plays Kevin. And then Jeremy Allen White plays Carrie, and then Harris Dickinson plays David. And so I was around those guys for the better part of both days. And the guys that were portraying the Fabulous Freebirds, they looked just like them. And,
there you go.
There's a guy playing Bruiser Brody, but he wasn't on set that day. There's a guy playing Gino Hernandez. He wasn't on set that day. But so it was pretty much the shots I did was with Jeremy, me and him. Now, if they use that scene, I'll get a credit. The others, I'm just a background. And so I won't get a credit.
So even after going down there and filming and all that, there's still a chance your part can get cut out.
Well, the scene that was just me and Jeremy, that's the one I'm concerned about because they didn't do a reshoot or anything.
Oh, gotcha.
And now I only had one small line,
Right.
and I'm playing a motorcycle dealer or a bike dealer is what it said on paper. And I hand the keys to the motorcycle to Kerry, the one that he eventually wrecked and then lost his foot over.
Right.
And so my only line was, Kerry, you got to be careful with this.
Well, there you go. That's kind of an ominous line. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
and so, but it took like 3 shots, and then that was it. And then, but there wasn't a reshoot, and so it just seemed like I don't know a bunch, but it seemed like it was awful quick.
I got you.
But it was him, and the only other thing that concerned me about the film was that if you know, Kerry was the biggest,
Sure.
and Zac Efron, who plays Kevin, is actually bigger than Jeremy,
Oh, wow.
who plays Kerry. Now,
Yeah.
I know they shoot in different angles and stuff to kind of make up for that, but
Right.
there was a lot of in-ring action when 6 guys were in there. I don't know how they could so I'm curious to see how that's going to play out.
Hey, the magic of movies, man. They'll get it all figured out. There's some lights and mirrors and action going on there somewhere.
Yeah, and so my niece got a kick out of me telling her that I was on set with Zac Efron, and all he had on was Speedos because Kevin he didn't wear boots. He wrestled barefooted.
wrestled
So
barefooted.
the other guys have knee pads and their tights on and everything, and it's one thing, but Efron has just tights on.
There you
and
go.
It's like, come on, man, put a towel on. Or something in
Absolutely. You're making the
between.
rest of us look bad around
Yeah,
here.
because the way it was, you'd shoot a scene, and then you'd be sitting there just kind of waiting and, twiddling your thumbs for another 30 minutes. And so it was like a lot of just downtime.
Yep.
And so if there was very much, they'd put some shorts on or something like that. But, yeah.
Well, there you go. Hey, that's going to wrap up Remember When with Uncle John for today, but we're going to come back tomorrow, tell you all about the movie, hopefully when it's going to come out, where to expect it, all that kind of good stuff. Having a blast talking wrestling with Mark Givens here on the Remember When with Uncle John show. We'll see you tomorrow, John.
See you tomorrow, Kelly.
You've been listening to Remember When with Uncle John on Y95. This broadcast can be heard each weekday morning at 6:45 on South Arkansas's favorite station, Y95.